Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Thanks for your support on Patreon, Adam and Anthony Bergeron. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk Super News! I'm Ollie Davis. Suplex the thumbs up button and give us a subscribe, as that's the best way to help support this channel, visually displayed by this subscribe graphic beneath me that shows us climbing the hill to 750,000 Ian subscribers! What do you want to see us do when we reach that goal? Let me know in the comments. If we get enough support, maybe we'll try and book that Seth Rollins versus Dave Meltzer match that's being built on Twitter. As a quick recap of the story so far, following last Thursday's Crown Jewel pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, the majority of the men's WWE roster and crew found themselves stuck, unable to take off on their flight back to the States for the following night's episode of SmackDown. The official company line was that the plane had mechanical issues, but there were reports from numerous wrestling sites it could actually have been because of a dispute over money owed to WWE. Thankfully, the stranded WWE crew made it back by Saturday, and in missing SmackDown, created one of the best TV episodes of the year, where an NXT invasion had to make up the shortfall. Of course, the wrestlers and crew's safety is the most important thing here. But good God, what an Adam Cole versus Daniel Bryan match! Understandably, a lot of the wrestlers left behind were disappointed in the company, especially as Vince McMahon, Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair were all able to get out earlier on their private jets. Many even commented about this publicly on social media, angrily making fun of WWE's statement, saying they didn't feel strongly enough about making it back in time for SmackDown. This all came to a head before Monday's episode of Raw, where the Wrestling Observer and a 75% right of the time Reddit insider called Toy Story 6 reported a backstage meeting was held at 3 p.m. with Vince McMahon and the wrestlers, where the company blamed talent speculation for causing a problem, reaffirmed that the delayed flight out of Saudi Arabia was due to a mechanical issue, and that Rusev spoke up, Randy Orton tried to make a joke, and Seth Rollins attempted to do a rah-rah speech while telling people to keep things like this off social media in the future, aka the Hulk Hogan approach to inspirational HR speeches. Because he's really good at Twitter, Rollins himself denied Dave Meltzer's rah-rah speech claims. And lastly, Dave Meltzer, you're at best a purveyor of misinformation, or at worst an outright vindictive liar. I hope it's the former. Hashtag rah rah. We've actually got exclusive footage taped of Seth making that speech at the meeting. Rah 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 rah. Meltzer speculated that Seth tweeted that because the speech wasn't well received backstage, with him trying to come off as a locker room leader and actually appearing like a company shill. And Rollins responded to that too. No, Dave, my problem is that you're spreading complete lies. I gave no speech. I said nothing before, during, or after the meeting. So either you or your source is full of it. Either way, it's a bold-faced lie, and I kindly ask you to quit pushing it. And he also made a statement to other wrestling news website Fightful about the backstage meeting. Vince and Triple H held an all-talent meeting to explain the travel situation returning from Crown Jewel. They commended the talent for their conduct in a tough spot and fielded questions and allowed anyone to voice their feelings on the matter. Some talent spoke up, and overall it was a productive forum. I said 0 words, I made no speech. Pretty simple, which you'd usually take with a pinch of salt, as WWE loves to bash Dave Meltzer via the proxy of its wrestlers. But then Seth's story was corroborated by the very reliable WrestleVotes. This Dave Meltzer Seth Rollins stuff is funny. Dave reporting Rollins spoke at the talent meeting held prior to Raw yesterday. He didn't. However, AJ Styles did. He spoke up and shared his thoughts according to a source. AJ is very well respected backstage, so his voice matters. 20-minute rant from AJ Styles on Flat Earth confirmed. Additionally, the Reddit insider Toy Story 6, who was also independently posting about the backstage meeting, deleted their account. Before the Rollins story, Toy Story 6 had correctly reported Jon Moxley pulling out of All Out, Cain Velasquez signing with WWE, and Kylie Ray leaving AEW, although he got the reason for her departing wrong. An impressive record undone by some rah-rah. And now we'll never get to know what happens in Toy Story 6. was the whole reason I was following him. To his credit, Meltzer recognized that his report was incorrect and publicly apologized to Seth on Twitter, replying, "Very sorry on this, I don't want to spread misinformation," and posted an official retraction on F4W Online. "We would like to retract a comment from both Monday's Daily Update and Monday's post-Raw Wrestling Observer Radio regarding Seth Rollins and the meeting Vince McMahon held with talent before yesterday's Raw. We had included comments and discussed on Wrestling Observer Radio that Rollins had spoken at the meeting, but he has since said on Twitter and released a statement to Fightful that he did not. We apologize for this error. It is our policy in our newsletters and on our podcasts to correct mistakes as soon as possible and to always clarify if there are misunderstandings." Seth's rah-rah controversy aside, it's very interesting how a huge story about WWE's increasingly controversial relationship with Saudi Arabia, which includes reports that wrestlers can't wait to leave the company, a big share price drop, and then the announcement that WWE will stage shows there all the way through to 2027, has somehow now been overshadowed by whether or not Seth Rollins spoke at a backstage meeting. It's almost like there's a PR plan there to control the narrative away from the real story. But NXT's invading the main roster, so it's all good. What's your opinion of Seth Rollins versus Dave Meltzer, and who will win in the eventual WrestleMania ladder match? Let me know in the comments because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. Speaking of wrestlers who potentially want to leave, WWE have just announced they've locked down one of the biggest potential defectors. After a few specials here and there, last night saw the full premiere of FS1's new wrestling studio show, WWE Backstage. The original plans for the show had Brock Lesnar announcing he was quitting SmackDown to move to Raw, which would still make no sense, but that had to be hot shot to Friday's episode because of the Saudi travel issues. And with also no CM Punk return confirmed, the show scrambled to have as many newsworthy segments as possible for the launch, including a taped message from John Cena, Shawn Michaels phoning in from the WWE Performance Center to talk about the NXT invasion, and a VT from NFL player The Gronk, who revealed his favorite wrestler of all time is Val Venus. It was also announced that Tyson Fury would be making a live appearance on this Friday's SmackDown after his crown jewel victory over Braun Strowman, a look at Bray Wyatt's Universal Championship side plates on a special edition of the Firefly Funhouse, which are pretty awesome fiend faces, but should have been the words hurt on one side and heal on the other, and the flat earth shattering news that Roman Reigns will take on King Baron Corbin after their match couldn't happen last Friday. Oh joy, I was worried we were going to miss out on that one. Jokes, because Corbs has actually massively grown on me and I think it'll be really fun. But the real biggest news of the show came from a PW Insider report from earlier in the day. Mike Johnson actually revealed a few hours before WWE Backstage began that the word at Monday's Raw, besides everyone obviously saying rah-rah, was that Randy Orton inked a new multi-year deal with World Wrestling Entertainment. This was then officially announced on the Backstage show, with Randy himself tweeting, "The 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment, RKO, just re-signed with the 3 most dominant letters in sports entertainment, WWE. Looking forward to pissing off the WWE Universe for at least 5 more years." Orton's previous deal was a 10-year contract beginning in 2010, and this new one will see him stay with the company until at least 2025, on which his Evolution mentor Triple H happily commented, "I'm glad to put the rumors to rest. For almost 2 decades, Randy Orton has been a cornerstone of WWE, and Randy Orton will remain a cornerstone of WWE for a long time." Those rumors Hunter mentions are ones mainly started by Orton himself, who's been quite obviously teasing on social media for the last 2 weeks that he could defect to AEW to be with his legacy buddy Cody Rhodes, with his WWE contract reportedly expiring next year, posting a picture of him next to a door sign that read Elite and tagging in Cody and AEW champion Chris Jericho, and also by tweeting with the Revival, themselves heavily rumored to go to All Elite Wrestling when their contracts expire in April, that they'll reunite their faction together sometime next year. It appears this was all a negotiating ploy to leverage more money from WWE for his new contract, which is a very smart move. But that's not the full story regarding Orton and the Revival. Fightful reported shortly before Orton's deal was announced that Randy pushed heavily to work more with Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder beyond their feud with the New Day through SummerSlam, with Randy even going as far as pitching a faction to Vince McMahon personally. Unfortunately, the idea fell on deaf ears, and Orton and the Revival were put on different brands in the WWE draft. draft. Fightful adds that the Revival asked for their WWE releases earlier this year and have since rejected deals worth $500,000 each. Oddly, WWE have given them 3 tag team title runs in the time since, possibly as a way to persuade them to stay, but they'll be free to leave next spring, where it's expected they'll go to AEW to make their long-running social media feud with the Young Bucks a reality. I've often thought you're the best fans right here on YouTube. Cheap pop for that in the comments. But now I have numerical evidence of just that, using the most important metric in the world. Love? Of course not, you big sap. Money! Us here at WrestleTalk have donated all our super chat money from last Thursday's Crown Jewel livestream to Sami Zayn's Sammy for Syria campaign, which raises funds for medical aid in Syrian refugee camps. And thanks to your incredible support, we were able to raise $628.34. Thank you all so much, and if you want to help them out more, there's a link to donate in the video description below. And also, just so you're not caught unaware, we're still trying to figure out the best way to cover AEW Dynamite and NXT on Thursdays. As many of you have said, the way we currently do it favors AEW, so from tomorrow we're trying something new. A super news detailing the most newsworthy points from both shows with the usual industry stories, and then a WrestleTalk live review of Dynamite with me and Luke, which will be Pete tomorrow standing in, and then a WrestleTalk live review of NXT with Laurie and housemate Simon right after, which will go right into some WWE 2K20 craziness. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications to always on to know when those go live first. Is Seth Rollins turning heel? Find out in my Raw in about 4 minutes review by clicking the video on the right, and find out the real reason WWE announced their extended partnership with Saudi Arabia this week by clicking the video below that. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.